We're back. Welcome to Walsall Weekly, episode 3. Right, so looking back at Saturday's result, we played Plymouth Argyle, beat them 2-1. Contentious penalty decision for Plymouth. James and Liam, don't know what you're smiling for, Liam, you weren't at the game. James and Liam weren't at the game. Kev and Dylan were, so let's get their thoughts on Saturday. If we can start with you, Dylan.
It was a good first half. We with Adji up front, which has been confirmed. Adji, he added something up top that we haven't had in a while. He worked really well with Backer up top, and I think it was a good first half. Going into the second half, it wasn't as entertaining, but looking back at the penalty, it wasn't a penalty. Some more saddlers are saying that it was a penalty. I don't think it was. Great goal by Oztummer, and it needed 3 points.
Thanks for that, Dylan. So you, Kev, what are your thoughts on Saturday? Any standout performance for you?
So, like Dylan said, first half we played well. Second half, not so well. I thought Wilson was our most standout player. Like I said on Saturday, he reminded me of Scott Dan. Guthrie, he goes unnoticed, but he does the most work for the team. Mops up the play, goes forward, doesn't lose possession. Oztummer, probably I was a little bit unfair on him on Saturday when I said he went missing in the first half, because second half he stepped it up, and Oztummer's influential, and obviously when he's on fire, we are. And I thought second half, considering we didn't score, did we score? When? Second half? Yeah. Yeah, but second half, I thought we played well. We kept Plymouth to very few shots on goal, and when they got the contentious penalty, we managed to keep them quiet for the last 10 minutes, and that's unlike Walsall. We normally sit back and just invite possession and pressure on ourselves, but second half we played much better.
Right, so looking ahead to our next 2 games before we record the next episode, we've got Bristol Rovers away on Saturday and Rotherham away on Tuesday. So if you can start with you, James, if you can give us your predictions and any preview that you'd like to give.
Yeah, it's going to be a test really of how much has Whitney changed. Obviously the home games we've been pretty good. The Oldham game a little bit iffy with how we played, but these 2 away games are going to be a big test of how far probably Whitney can take us. Obviously our away record's not that great, shut up. It's going to be a test of just how far this squad can really go in this league, but I think if we get a good result against Bristol Rovers, that might... yeah, it's going to be a test of how far Whitney can take this squad. Obviously the away record isn't that great, but yeah, it's going to be a big test really. The 3 home games, we've been pretty good. The Oldham one was a little bit here and there, but it's going to be a test of how far Whitney can take this squad. Obviously we're not that great away from home, but I think as long as Whitney gets it right tactically, it's, you never know with Big John, but it's going to be a really tough game. I think Bristol Rovers are going to go for it because they haven't had a great start to the season. Rotherham, I don't think they've had a great start to the season as well, but they'll be a big test. I think if we can get a good result against Bristol Rovers, we can probably just about sneak one against Rotherham, hopefully.
Right, Liam, 2 games coming up, Saturday, Tuesday, Bristol Rovers and Rotherham. Predictions?
I'm going to go the same as Bradford and Plymouth. I'm going to go 4 points. I think we'll beat Bristol Rovers, and I think we'll nick a draw at Rotherham. I think Bristol Rovers, our home form will continue, and I think we will get either 2-0 or 2-1 win, with goals coming in the second half, preferably. And then Rotherham, I think we will draw. Goalless or not, I'm not too sure, but yeah, 4 points it is.
You know, it's always tough going into an away game. We haven't won an away game since last season. You know, it's the same as last week. A tough game against Rotherham. maybe an easier game against Bristol. They've had a fairly good start to the season, 2 wins, just like us. So I'd like to think we can get the win against Bristol. If I was to make a prediction, I reckon we'll just nab it. Going into Rotherham, I think it's going to be a completely different challenge. They're a much tougher side. 2 former Saddlers in their side. So I reckon we won't be able to get any points coming away from Rotherham, but I think we can nab it at Bristol.
Alright, fantastic. And finally, Kev, what are your thoughts on the 3 games?
Well, considering I've not seen an away victory since Port Vale away, when we won 5-0, when we just missed out on promotion, and I'm going to both games, I wouldn't fancy our chances of coming away with anything, to be honest. We've got Bristol Rovers, we've got Rotherham, then we've got Oxford, and then we've got Wigan away. 4 out the next 6 away from home. You can't really see us actually getting much from those 4 games. If I was a betting man, I would probably have us to get a point on Saturday. So I reckon 1-1. And then Rotherham, they're hitting a bit of form at the minute. They won the first away game on Saturday for a long time. And the confidence is high, so I probably would say that Rotherham will win that one. So yeah, I think we're just going to get 1 point from the next 2 games.
In the news this week, we've had transfer deadline day, signed Dan Adji and Zeli Ismail, both on loans, both until January, I think. Adji obviously made an impact straight away on Saturday. Ismail played for the reserve squad that lost to Port Vale. Less said about that, the better. But what are your thoughts on transfer deadline day and how it went down, Dylan?
I mean, we was only expecting 1 player to come in. I think it's disappointing they were both loans. We were all expecting Zeli to sign a permanent deal. It's unfortunate they're both till January as well. What's going to happen after January, I don't know. We could lose half our squad. Yeah, Adji made an instant impact on his debut. I was really impressed with him. He had something up top that we haven't seen for a while. He got a goal as well. He seemed to work really well with Bakayoko. So whether he's going to start up top with Roberts or Bakayoko, I don't know. Zeli, I've never seen play. I've never seen him play for Bury, Wolves or us, so I can't really comment. Made his debut for the development side, so I can't comment on Zeli, but I've been impressed with Adji so far. Just disappointed they're both loans.
Okay, fantastic. And James, your thoughts on deadline day? Did you stay up until 11, 12 o'clock?
Yeah, just about. But it's a great signings. Zeli, we know that he does bring a lot of pace to the team, and Dan, it looks good on Saturday according to everyone. So obviously look forward to seeing him up top with Tyler Roberts, hopefully. I mean, the only disappointment is obviously we haven't got a permanent signing in. You know, it's 4 players potentially leaving in January. It doesn't really lead to a stable team if none of them want to stay on to the end of the season.
All right, fantastic. And if you were going to pick 2 players, if we were playing 2 up top, which 2 would you go with now that everybody's back?
I was really impressed with how Tyler Roberts and Bakayoko actually worked together in the game against Bradford. I think they probably will work together probably best. Obviously Bakayoko's a little bit of a target man, and Tyler Roberts is going to be the one that wants to run in behind defenders. Right,
next up then, Kev, transfer deadline day. I assume you were sitting at home in your fluffy onesie, cup of tea, biscuits, watching Dan Mole's tweets. But did you stay up and watch transfer deadline day? And if so, what are your thoughts on the signings?
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what the lads have said. I'm disappointed at the loan signings. We've gone from the 5-year plan under Smith to the 6-month plan under John Whitney. John Whitney said at the start of the season he didn't want any loan players or limit the amount of loan players that was coming in. And now we find ourselves with another 5 loanees. 4 will potentially go back in January. Then we're constantly doing the short-term option. So come January, we're going to have to reinvest by getting loan signings in or permanent signings. But the players themselves, Ishmael, I said that we should have signed him in 2014, as my tweet on Vital Walsall confirms that, because he's just got pace, and I think that we have lacked pace on the wing for some time. Whether Whitney puts him in the central midfield like Morris, who knows? But he will bring another dimension to the team. And then Adji as well. We saw on Saturday what he's capable of.
And do you think? I know you say it's short termism and a 6-month plan, but do you think that we may be looking at the long term, but we're not just seeing that? So some of the players that we have gotten on loan are maybe here for permanent deals next season onwards.
We've not done that for a while. It's Walsall. we are literally going to have these loan players till January, extended till May. Someone like Wilson, how well he's been playing. Come next summer, someone like Wigan or Brentford or Rotherham, whoever's in the Championship, he'll end up going there and we'll miss out. And then we're just playing catch up again. Right,
finally, Liam, transfer deadline day, signed 2 players, Adji and Ismail. Adji obviously played on Saturday, so you weren't there to comment. However, you did go and watch the reserves, and I know you've been dying to talk to us about it all week since you've been. So tell us about the game and tell us specifically about Ismail and whether he impressed.
Well, I do think they are 2 good signings, but Ismail, I don't think he will be able to fit into the squad. Yesterday, he did play behind the 2 strikers, and I did think he couldn't show off his pace and his skill as much. Like when Oztumer plays behind the 2 strikers, he doesn't have much pace. Like he doesn't need to have pace. But if Ismail's signed as a winger, we aren't going to play him out wide. But yeah, I think they are 2 good signings. And then I think if we do switch to 4 at the back, say on the international breaks, and Ismail plays out wide, then that would come handy. Departure-wise, obviously James O'Connor left. I think this is because Whitney is looking at getting really big squad players, like obviously Wilson, Guthrie, they're 6'2" plus. James O'Connor hasn't got the height, and I don't think he's got the physicality to match those. So I think that's probably the reason of him leaving.
Alright, and going back to your reserve outing, were there any other first team players that impressed, or were they all?
Well, Simeon Jackson played. I don't think he had a good game. I think out the 2 strikers with him and Mitch Cannelin up front, Cannelin did look like the better player in the air, physically and on the ball. Cavalier, Flanagan played centre mid. They both had good games. I think the weakness in those were the defence, which was it was a back 3 of Sam Leake, Milan Butterfield and Ben Kendrick, and I don't think that was an experienced back 3, especially against Tyrone Barnett.
We had 1 departure on transfer deadline day, James O'Connor. Obviously there's been a lot of stories thrown around about why he's left, how he's left. Obviously none of us really know, but Dylan, James, Kev, Liam jumped the gun a little bit, but what are your thoughts on the departure of JOC?
You know, it's disappointing. At the end of the day, no matter what he's done, what stories have been thrown about, he's been a great servant to the club. You know, it's disappointing how he was treated at the start of the season, literally just thrown out the side. He's been one of our better central defenders over the past few years. But yeah, it's a real shame to see him go.
James, talking about your other namesake, James, what are your thoughts on James's departure, James?
I think we're all disappointed to see him go. He's been a great servant to the club. I think we can sort of see why he's not in the squad anymore, but I think there was just a better way to take him out of the club. I think it was a little bit disrespectful to someone that's been such a great servant over the last few years, and you know he's done a lot of stuff over the last couple of seasons, and it's just a shame that he's been shipped out the club the way he has.
Alright, fantastic. And finally, Kev, your thoughts on James O'Connor leaving the club?
To be honest, if you had asked me a few weeks ago, I would have probably gone raging at the fact that someone of James O'Connor's ilk has left the club. But as the guys have said, you can kind of see where Whitney's going with the team. We've got 3 bastards in defence now, and James O'Connor doesn't fit into that mould. But the one thing that I will say, and I'll echo what James has said as well, the way we've treated him has been totally unfair. Someone that gave so much to the club when everyone else fucked off. He deserved better. We could have released him in the summer, and it would have gave him chance to find a club before the season. Now he's playing catch up, and I know he can still sign for someone before January, but everyone else has strengthened their team with January in mind. So he's going to struggle to find a club even now, and I just think that you've got to kind of ask the question why players like James O'Connor, Isaiah Osborne, Sam Mantum as well, rumoured to have said like that they just fell out with John Whitney. Now, if that's allegedly happened, why are all these senior pros that have fallen out with him? Is there an underlying issue? But I guess we'll find out in the coming months with his new players to see how they respond. Yeah.
Right, so moving on to a new segment of the show now called Sadler's Showdown. Each week we're going to split the teams in two. So we've got Kevin James team 1 and Dylan and Liam as team 2. We're going to set them a variety of challenges, starting with today, which will be a Walsall quiz. But over the weeks we're going to run it for 10 weeks, and the losing team have to perform a forfeit as judged by the winning team. If there is a draw and it's 5-all or a score draw at the end of the 10 weeks, then I'll be jumping in as well. So we haven't come up with a forfeit yet, so if any of you guys that are watching want to suggest anything, please feel free, and we'll pick the best 4 and put them to a poll. And I know they've got the head in the hands, but it's going to a poll, and whatever's stated on Twitter is legal, so we've got to stick to it. So fill your boots. Right, so starting off the Sadler's Showdown this week is a general knowledge quiz on Walsall Football Club. So again, the teams are James and Kev and Dylan and Liam. In the absence of any buzzers or funny noises, if you could just stick your hand up when you think you've got the answer, I'll go to whoever I see first. If you get it wrong, the other team can have a go at answering, and I'll tell you after the question's answered if you've got it right. 9 questions, some are easier than others, and are you both ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so starting with question 1. Question 1 is, and I've got to read the questions in full, let's get that clear before you attempt to stick your hand up. What is the capacity of the Banksy Stadium?
11,300.
James? 10,300.
The actual answer is 10,989, so I'm going to give that to Dylan and Liam by virtue of it being closer than yours. Question 2. How many league goals did Paul Merson score for Walsall?
9.
No, so we can pass that over.
12.
No, the answer is 6, so Kev was closest, so it's 1-1. Kev levels it up. Third question. Which legendary footballer opened the Bescot Stadium as it was back then? Kev?
Stanley Matthews.
Yeah, that's right, so Kev gets that, he's got it right straight away. So 2-1 to Kevin James. James is looking a bit more relaxed now. Question 4. I assume only Kev's probably heard of this bloke, but what 3 years in a row was Stuart Rimmer Walsall's top scorer?
Who? Stuart Rimmer.
I'm going to have a guess.
Liam? 3 years in a row.
1982 to 85.
It's probably wrong. I know what you mean. So,
82
so
to
any
85.
other guesses from the other team?
We'll go 86 to 88.
89 to 91. So Kev again. Kev's closer. So what's that? 3-1 to Kevin James. Question number 5. Fitzroy Simpson joined Walsall from which Scottish club?
Hearts.
Straight in, Kev. Straight in. So that's what, 4-1 now.
I don't need to be here.
Come on, Dylan. Liam, you're
I'm having guesses.
you're on your way down. Next question. By what score did Walsall defeat Macclesfield in the second round of the FA Cup in 97-98? Liam's got his hand up.
Was it 4-1?
Macclesfield, second round FA Cup 97-98.
7-0.
Was that?
7-0.
Yeah, it was 7-0. So there we go. I think this competition is over already, but so far, let's add that up. So what's that? 5-1? Is it 5-1? Yeah, so 5-1 at the minute to Kevin James. Next question. How much did Walsall pay Swindon for the services of Willie Penman in 1970?
I don't think it helps you staying in Kev's era.
Oh. Anybody wants to answer?
Let's have a guess.
25,000.
Dylan?
I'll go 10,000.
The answer is 6,000, so Dylan and Liam level it up. And interestingly, that's £2,000 more than we paid for James Constable. I'm going to give you a list of 5 managers now. They're worth a point each if you get them in the correct placing. So you can do this together. You can confer for 10 seconds and I'll come back to you and you can give your answers. So rank the following managers in order of win percentage, highest to lowest. So I'm going to give you the names and they're not in any order. So Jimmy Mullen, Sean O'Driscoll, Paul Merson, Richard Money and Dean Smith. So have a 10 or 15 second chat in your groups, decide which order you want to put them in and then we'll go. We'll start with Liam and Dylan, being as though they got the last question right. So highest to lowest, so who are you going to put as the highest?
Go backward. No. Yeah.
Highest, we'll go Smith.
Second.
Money.
Third.
Mullen.
Fourth.
O'Driscoll. And then Paul Merson.
Okay, after that, I'm not going to tell you actually, we'll let the other team answer. So, Kevin James, who are we going for as the highest win percentage?
So we went for Richard Money,
Second.
Dean Smith,
Third.
third
Merson.
Merson,
Fourth.
Jimmy Mullen.
Fifth.
O'Driscoll.
Okay, so you both got 1 point each. First, the actual list was Richard Money first, Sean O'Driscoll second, Jimmy Mullen third, Paul Merson fourth, and Dean Smith was actually last out of those 5 in win percentages. So that's certainly surprised me. And if it's wrong, don't shoot me. I got that off Wikipedia. And finally, last question. I wasn't going to ask this, but I will, because we all know that Kevin James have won already. So last question, just for fun. Who is Walsall's best performing manager ever in terms of win percentage? And that's from its first inception way back when, in the 1800s. If anybody gets this, I'll be surprised, but I'll give you...
What's the era?
Not telling you, so you've got the manager, the year. He was in charge for 1 year exactly, so manager, year, and what win percentage do you think it'd be?
I'll go 1912.
1964.
Dylan's still closest. James, give me a year.
1908.
Is August 1895 to August 1896. His name was C.H. Aslow, and his win percentage was 61.29%. So there you go. That wraps up that challenge. Kevin James were comfortable. Dylan and Liam 1-0 down, looking a bit dejected. Looks like so far the forfeit's heading your way, which our good friends will decide. And there we go. Next week I'll have a totally different challenge for you, so you can't prepare for it. But there's the end of round 1. Okay, last but not least, we're going to the viewers, stroke listeners, stroke whatever else you want to call them, questions. Got quite a few, so I'm going to ask each of you a question and we'll just give one answer each to the questions, rather than all answering the same. So if we start off with a question from Greg Oxley on Twitter, and his question is, with the recent influx of strikers, what do you think is going to happen with Simeon Jackson, Liam?
I do think he will leave in January, because I think we might get Matty Fryer if he's fit. I think we'll get him in before then. And then I do think, because we'll have too many, I think Jackson won't fit like the bill. I think he will be shipped off in January, either on a loan, or I think we'll just sell him. Or he is out of contract in the summer, but I think he'll be gone by then.
Okay, moving on. Dylan, question for you now from Talk Walsall. Hello, Talk Walsall. Their question is, who will be the biggest success story? I'll put my teeth in a minute. Who will be the biggest success story out of the newest batch of young pros? He's given us some names here, so he's gone Candlin, Hales Doherty, Roberts or Cockrell Mollett. So out of those ones, or if there's another one that hasn't been mentioned, do you thinking it's going to be the biggest success story?
Normally I'd say Candlin, but I think the competition up top is going to really struggle to get game time. I'll tell you someone who I was really impressed with over the weekend, Corey Roberts. Corey, not Cully. Corey Roberts. I think he was very good on Saturday. Fantastic backup option. So I'd normally say Candlin. I don't think he'd get as much game time as he'd want. But I think Corey Roberts has got the potential to be a fantastic centre half.
But their question is, do you play 2 up front away from home on Saturday? If not, or if so, who starts for you? So I'll break that down to make it a bit easier for you, James. If we're playing with 2 up front on Saturday, who would you play up front? And then also, if we played 1 up front, who's your target man?
I think if you go 2 up top, Tyler Roberts and Bakayoko. I said earlier, I think they just complement each other really well. But if you're going 1 up top, Bakayoko's proved he hasn't quite got it to play up top by himself. I think it would be harsh to drop Tyler Roberts at all, as long as he's got his form going.
Right, moving on to you then, Kev. We've got a message off Robert Dern, I think. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, Robert. But his question is, now we're a few games in, team's looking like it's working well together, and for the manager, will anything below the top half as a finish be a bad season now?
On Saturday, I did say that we looked like we could actually finish in the top half. I saw Chris Marsh in the Express and Star today said we could go for a playoff push. I think that's dreaming a little bit too much. I just hope it doesn't turn out to be the usual lacklustre mid-table finish out of every cup competition with nothing to play for. We do need something this season, whether it's a cup run, I don't know. But me personally, considering I went for relegation at the start of the season, I would take finishing in the bottom half, as long as we weren't in the drop zone.
Oh, so moving on to you, Liam. We've got a question from Sam Edmonds on Twitter at @sedmonds2001. His question is, if I'm right, which I don't know whether you are, Sam, before you ask, Bristol Rovers conceded 3 goals from crosses against Bradford. That has to be plan A for Saturday? Question mark. Do you agree?
Well, yeah. If we do have 2 big strikers up, say if we have Adji and Bakayoko, why not? Because we've even Roberts has scored ahead of the season. So has Adji. I think it was Charlie Wyke that scored a hat trick against Bristol Rovers. But then again, he's the target man. So if that's the way we're going to go, then why not? If it's a weakness for them, it certainly is something we should target.
Okay, I'll ask that question to Dylan as well. Plan A for Saturday, crosses into the box?
It's worked for us all season, so I don't understand why we can't continue to do so. Whether Bristol have looked at that and they've trained to defend that, I don't know, but it's worked well for us all season, having someone on the wing cross it in. Bakayoko did it for the majority of the last game, so it's worked well for us, but at the end of the day, if Bristol are smart enough, they would have trained to defend that kind of thing.
Okay, fantastic. And then 2 more questions. The last one we'll all answer, but the last question that's kind of football related for Kevin James. Answer it together, separately. You know what I mean. Message come from Joe Kulik on Twitter. His question is, what kit is your favourite kit this season? Red, black or white?
The white one. It's just nice and simple. The black one.
Is the black one not nice and simple?
No,
the red one.
No, the black one's nice, but I think the gold on the shoulders aren't good as they look on the pictures.
So which one of the 3 is the worst one this season? They're all pretty decent in my opinion.
I don't think there is a worst one. They're all good.
Cheers, Jeff. And Kev?
To be honest, all 3 look decent when the badge stays on them. But if I was to pick one, I'd probably go with James and say the white one. It looks classier. I like the collar on the home shirt, but I like the design of the white shirt. And when I saw the 3rd kit revealed, that's the one I wanted to buy. But I didn't buy it because I took the red one back because the badge fell off.
Thank you. And then finally, a question for Saul. We'll start with you, Kevin, and end with me hiding behind the camera today. So, question from Rob Lowe on Twitter. We've had a discussion a little bit about this in our little group, in inverted commas. Question is, what's your favourite ice cream flavour? So, I'm going to add to that. So, what's your favourite ice cream flavour first off, and then why? So, crack on, Kev.
It's got to be cookie dough gelato, just because I had it when I was in Venice last year, and I've never tasted ice cream like it. You certainly wouldn't get off the ice cream, man. Put it that way.
What do you get for the ice cream?
Honeycomb, nice and sweet. No, they don't.
I'll go with fish food, Ben and Jerry's. No, marshmallow in the middle, chocolate fish and chocolate ice cream. You can't go wrong.
Well, it's not fish food. Chocolate. I'm a bit of a chocoholic. I do look like a chocolate bar each day.
I do look like a chocolate bar.
I don't know.
Come on, carry on. Keep going with your answer. We're leaving this one in.
Ask me again.
You've got to put that in, Dylan. He said, I like a chocolate. I like a chocolate bar every day.
Right,
let's go again.
Ask me again.
Ready? Right, Liam, what's your favourite ice cream flavour then, and why?
Chocolate. I'm a bit of a chocoholic. I like a chocolate bar each day. So yeah. Second to that is probably vanilla. I am a bit of a fussy eater, so it's just them two really, but chocolate is the best one for me.
To me, my favourite ice cream flavour would have to be mango, just because it's got a bit of a tang and it tastes nice down your throat. Interestingly, actually, I went to Brixham last year or the year before, can't remember, and I went to an ice cream shop there and they had lime and chilli, and being the dick that I am sometimes, I thought, yeah, that's not going to be hot. So I went in, had a scoop of lime and chilli, took a little bit off the top, and safe to say I needed a pint of milk afterwards. It was red hot. But if you haven't tried it, I'd recommend it. It's not my favourite, but if you want something that's not boring, don't go with Liam. Go with mango, in my opinion. So I think that's this episode wrapped up. It's getting dark. Church is opening. Jesus is upon us. So thank you very much for viewing. We'll be back next week with episode 4 and a new challenge for the guys. So thanks again for viewing, and we'll see you all soon.